Thank you.
It is so great, Jake. I'm having the best time being home. I love it. I do, and I get to travel around New York. What could beat that?
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But this is exciting, and it's a little bit nostalgic because I was in Buffalo and Rochester yesterday, and lots of places along the trail. Well, look, I've said repeatedly that I'd take him over Donald Trump or Ted Cruz any day. I think people know that I will be a president who will follow through on what I've said. That's why I've laid out plans. I want to knock down all the barriers that stand in the way of people getting ahead and staying ahead. I want to protect people's rights. I want to protect our country. I want to unify our country. And I think I'm in a very good position to actually get that done. No, I don't. I mean, I don't have anything negative to say about him. Well, I think what Bill said is that we should all be listening to each other, and I certainly have been listening. On the very first day of this campaign, I gave a speech about criminal justice reform and ending the era of mass incarceration. I have been consistently speaking out about what I would do as president, and I think it's important for people to recognize we have work to do, that there were a lot of people very scared and concerned about high crime back in the day, and now we've got to say, okay, we have to deal with the consequences, and one of the consequences is, in my view, over-incarceration of people who should not have been in the criminal justice system. They have an addiction problem, a mental health problem. They have committed a low-level offense, a nonviolent offense. So I want to divert people from the criminal justice system and from being incarcerated, and I want to do more if people are in corrections institutes to help them while they're there, and I want to do more to help them when they get out, re-enter into society.
More personally.
Well, he's not only a former president, he's my husband,
right.
And he does take defending and protecting me very seriously, and I appreciate that. And I think he has a great legacy. If we're going to talk about his 8 years as president, we should talk about everything. And he said last summer to the NAACP that a lot of good things happened to try to lower crime, save lives, and all of that. But clearly some things happened that were not foreseen and need to be now addressed. And I think that's good leadership. You don't do something and never keep asking, is it working? Is it having unintended consequences? And so that's why when I was in the Senate, I introduced legislation to end racial profiling. I supported trying to end the disparity between sentencing over crack cocaine and powder cocaine, and took a lot of other action in concert with my colleagues to try to deal with some of these issues. I mean, he believes that people need to talk and listen to each other, and he is often very clear. I will listen to you, but then you have to listen to me, respond, and we need to get back to doing that. So I have been in favor of what's called the Fight for 15 for a year. I have been supportive of the unions and activists and officials who've come together to try to raise the minimum wage to 15.
In states.
In states. And if you look at what happened here in New York, I think it actually supports my position because there's a phase-in. 15 is being phased in New York City and the surrounding area, but you're going to be phasing in at a much slower rate in upstate, in places that are less populated, where there are some economic challenges. That's exactly my position. I want to raise the national minimum wage to 12, which is the highest it would have been by any measure since 1968. I'm in line with the Democratic position in both the Senate and the House, but I want to encourage places, both locally and statewide, who can go further. So actually what happened in New York, which I was very proud to support, is in keeping with my approach to this. Take New York, Jake.
Yeah.
They couldn't go to 15 statewide because there are different economic circumstances. So they have made it very clear that it's going to be a slow phase-in, and even in the legislation, that it was going to be evaluated to make sure that it didn't have adverse economic consequences. Well, there are a lot of places that are, not well off around the country. They are now required to have a $7.25 minimum wage. So to go from that to 12 is a big leap. Now, I want to encourage every place.